As the voting continues today, we want to bring on KC24 anchor and host of Sunday Morning Matters, Alexon Balakian, to go over what voters need to know. So you've been talking with the county clerk.
Yeah.
How many voting centers are open? Where can people vote?
Well, James Coos has been very busy, and really this is his first real election since taking over for Brandy Orth. And you have to remember they had some election time back in March, but when you really look at this, this has been action-packed for him and his staff. They have 44 vote centers. That is 9 less than the 53 that they had during the November election from the presidential election. Right now, as he said, they're trending right about 55 to 60% vote turnout right now. That is not so much that we saw in the presidential election. Here in Fresno County, we saw a record presidential turnout. We're not seeing that just yet. I am interested in seeing what the turnout here is in Fresno County and across the state, really. We've had over 8 million votes already mailed back in and returned. Of course, we won't know exactly what the tally is until starting later tonight. Now, if you are postmarking your ballot tonight in the mail, make sure you get it in before the end of business. Okay, so 5 o'clock, you need to get that in. If you're going to go vote in person at one of the 44 polling centers, you want to be there at 8 o'clock in line. That way, if you're in line at 8 o'clock, you're going to get a chance to vote. If you're there anywhere after 8 o'clock, you are going to be turned away. So make sure you get it in.
Yeah, lots of things to consider and to sign the actual ballot.
Yeah.
I know people drop it in the mail and they forget that. What storylines are you looking out for during this pretty historic election?
Well, the storylines is one, the voter turnout. I want to see that. And I also want to see the voter turnout for the Latino vote. We know we got the census back just not too long ago, and the Latino ethnic group is now the largest in California. We have been hearing through polls that the Latino voter has actually been leaning towards voting yes on this recall. The percentages are higher that they would do that. So we're anxious to see how the vote turns out, what the Latino vote says, and really question two. You know, Governor Newsom has been saying, and Ashley Zavala has been covering the governor side by side since this whole thing started. He says vote no on the recall. Then he says leave question 2 blank.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see those who did vote no, did they answer question 2? And what does question 2 really reveal after this election? Is Larry Elder an extreme front runner like everybody's been projecting to this point? If that's the case, and if Newsom beats the recall, are we setting up for a 2-man race in 2022?
So I know, and this is a question I have heard people ask, I know it's kind of hard to predict, but when should we expect results? Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Because right now there's been observers in every county, and that's been very important. There's been a lot of question because of ballot harvesting. What is the integrity of the election? There is zero, and let me just be clear, zero proof that there is any election fraud. I know that there's been talk about that leading up to this. The Secretary of State, I talked to Dr. Shirley Weber. Our conversation about integrity of this election is on our website, yourcentralvalley.com. So we are anxious to see how fast they are going to get that tally out. And again, with everybody getting a mail-in ballot, did people mail in their ballot ahead of time? Right now, we're not seeing that. Did people want to vote in person, or are we seeing voter fatigue?
Right.
From the presidential election.
Well, I think, you know, both sides of the political aisle usually act a little bit differently on election day, so the results will be interesting. So on your show, Sunday Morning Matters, who can we expect to hear from after we hear results, and what can we expect? Well,
we're in the process. We are expected to have both chairs of both parties, meaning of the state. The Democratic chair, Rusty Hicks. We're also expecting Jessica Milan Patterson of the GOP chair for the state of California. We are also expecting to have Larry Elder on the show this week. We're also expected to have the former judge, Oliver Wanger. I know a lot of people have been talking about the COVID mandates, and really that's played a big factor into this recall election. What will be the mandates moving forward? Are they constitutional? So a lot happening.